Hey, good morning, Coal Canyon Coyotes. Welcome to our Friday Flag video. Whether you are a student or staff member, we appreciate you tuning in each week. Last Friday, we were live. That was super fun, and what a great message that we had about safety. Keep collecting those hero tickets out on campus, guys and girls, because you could win a hero bracelet and a fun prize for your class or grade level. But let's begin right now our Friday Flag video with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Hey guys and girls, as your principal, I thank you for another great week. We are so proud of your efforts each day. Next week we have parent conferences, of course, and so we are out, if we're a kindergartner, we're out at 12:10. If we're in grades 1 through 5, we're out at 12:30. So that way we could meet with your parents with conferences. So thanks for being respectful. And here's a great respectful message, I think. Whenever you have a guest teacher, that guest teacher is there to do the job of the teacher, to make sure that the week's lesson plan continues while they're gone, the teacher is gone. So do your very best to respect that guest teacher. He or she is doing their very best to follow that lesson plan and to get you ready for the next day. So thank you for being respectful to the guest teacher and respectful to one another and yourself. So that's my short message for you today. Now I want Mr. Z to talk about another message of respect. Take it away, Mr. Zanartu. Always got good things to say.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, and good morning, Coyotes. I hope your week was a good one. Today, I want to share a short story about my pets. Now, as many of you know, especially those who talk to me, I have a dog named Mucha. She's a tri-colored Aussie Doodle. She excels in a lot of things: dog tricks, therapy work, agility. But what you might not know is I also have a second dog, a miniature black and white Bernedoodle named Jet. He's small, he's still learning his bearings, and he struggles a lot with confidence and anxiety. Recently, I realized that I haven't been fair to our little Jet. Reflecting, that means thinking about what I've been doing, I've realized I haven't given him the same attention and care that I do with Mucha. Even though I love my pets equally, my treatment of them and how they learn affects how they learn and thrive. So, how does it relate to all of you? Well, we all come from diverse backgrounds, abilities, and heritages. And as a matter of fact, here at Cole, we have over 1,100 unique students. Just like I'm learning to be fair to my dogs and my pets, we all need to treat each other with fairness and acceptance. It's fundamental, boys and girls, to understand that everyone here belongs, regardless of difference. As Dr. Seuss once wrote, a person's a person, no matter how small. Emphasizing the worth of every individual, we must be kind and understanding to every person, just like you would to a good friend. So here's a challenge for you all in October, which happens to be Bully Prevention Month. Use your hearts to do something nice to someone you might find challenging to be around. It could be something as simple as saying something nice or even giving a high five. If all of us did that, we would make a huge difference. When we practice acceptance and understanding, even in the smallest ways, we create a warm and a welcoming environment for everyone. The way you treat people helps them be the best version of themselves. So together, as a school, let's create an incredible atmosphere where everyone feels accepted and valued. With something to think about, this is your school counselor, Mr. Zanartu. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. And speaking of nice things, let's kick off this Friday Flag by doing our birthdays, including a very special birthday that's coming up, Dr. Wheeler, who's celebrating this month. So take it away, Dr. Wheeler.
Good morning, Coyotes. As the days get shorter and it's finally getting cooler, it is time to celebrate the birthdays of our Coyote family for the month of October. So if you see your name on the screen or know someone who's on there, make sure to wish them a great happy birthday. We also want to recognize our amazing staff members who share birthdays in September. If you see them, please make sure to wish them a happy birthday too. That's Mrs. Brennan, Miss Standish, Mrs. Plain, Mrs. Coons, and Mrs. Pyle. So to all of our birthday Coyotes, students and staff alike, all of us in the office would like to wish you endless happiness, new adventures, and wonderful memories. Now it's time for Mrs. Lane, our assistant principal, to celebrate another group of students who are showing us all how to be a hero. Helpful, encouraging, respectful, and outstanding. Take it away, Mrs. Lane.
Hello, students and staff. Remember that every Friday Flag video, we recognize those students in all grade levels who have earned the hero shout out from his or her teacher. These students have shown just what it means to be helpful, encouraging, respectful, and outstanding in class. So here we go, starting with our kindergartners. From Mrs. Miller's class, we have Emerson and Hadley. From Mrs. Amkraut, we have Candace and Amelia from her AM morning class, and Violet in the PM. From Mrs. Gorton's class, we have Rebel. Now for our first graders, from Mrs. Stringer's class, we have Charlotte. From Mrs. Cron's class, we have Abby. From Mrs. Espinoza's, we have Peyton H. From Mrs. Murray, we have Olivia. And for Mrs. Mored, we have Jeremy. Moving into our second graders, from Mrs. Teresa's class, we have Millie and Kate. From Mrs. Silva's class, we have Grant. From Mrs. Gary, we have Aaliyah and Theo. And from Mrs. Pacey, we have Enzo. From Mrs. Gonzalez, we have Brenly. From Mrs. Manzella's class, we have Marigold and Juliana. And lastly, for second grade, from Mrs. Schott's class, we have Brecken. Moving into our third graders, from Miss Hess's class, we have Fenn. From Mrs. Levin's class, we have Zoe. From Mrs. Hewittson's class, we have Mason. From Mrs. Tope's class, we have Scarlett. From Mrs. De Leon, we have Liam. And from Mrs. Hartley, we have Danielle. And for our fourth graders, from Mrs. Calvillo Murray, we have Alexis. From Mr. Pacey, we have Olivia and Jake. From Miss Hayes, we have Philip and Maddie. From Mrs. Trujillo's class, we have Gracie. And rounding it out with our fifth graders, from Mrs. Bryan's class, we have Kayla. From Mrs. Reagan's class, we have Haley. From Mrs. Greenstein's class, we have Peyton. From Mrs. Murray's class, Selma. From Mrs. Mirande, Mia. From Miss Becky, Caleb, and finally, for our fifth graders, from Mrs. Hemrick's class, we have Jaden. Congratulations to all of you that earned this weekly shout out. Remember that these names are entered into our monthly drawing for a class prize at each grade level from our live Friday Flag Assembly. Now let's turn it back over to Mr. Shaw to close us out.
Thank you all. What a great team we have here to support you. So we're proud of your efforts to be heroes on our campus and in the classroom, and that includes when we have a guest teacher. So thank you, students, for doing your part. We hope that these Friday Flag videos encourage you to make good choices and model that appropriate behavior at all times, and be part of our dynamic community of learners here. So have a great weekend, everyone. Take care now. Bye-bye.